Popular culture is a general collection of ideas and perspectives that are spread within a culture. Its most important categories are entertainment, fashion, technology, and slang. Now, for example, popular entertainment consists of scientific movies and fantasy books. Popular culture has changed a lot since the 90s, and in the next video, we're going to show you how.
The 20th century was a time of great social and cultural change. It started with the creation of 7-inch disc in Canada. Musical and sound instruments were being developed to improve the quality sound instruments. More entertainment improvements were taking place. In 1902, the French director Georges Méliès created A Trip to the Moon. It was the first science fiction movie. 2 years later, in 1940, the play Peter Pan was debuted in England. It became so important that we can still see its present today. In Asia, cultural movements were also taking place. In 1906, theatrical movements in Japan called Shinjeki Shukesare as it was known. It was the opening of Occidental plays.
The Japanese Kaoru Osani was a great supporter of this movement in theater. In 1907, he published the Shinshiku series, introducing modern dramas from the Occident to Japan. Another important leader was Otohiro Kawakami. In 1908, he established two institutions that implemented Western style in Asian arts. But arts modernization doesn't stop there. In 1910, throat music was created. It originated as translation of Western and Japanese popular songs. In China, the modernization of fashion took place. Trends inspired by prostitute style popularized. It's known as the era of relief in clothes.
In 1911, in Russia, Konstantin created the Stanislavski method. It was a method that improved acting. 2 years later, in 1913, the French director Louis released the film Fantomas. It was one of the first films to end the cliffhanger and became an inspiration for suspense films. In 1914, Charles Chaplin, the most famous comedy actor, debuted in Hollywood with his distinguished character Charlotte. At the same time, but in France, Coco Chanel inaugurated her first boutique. She revolutionized high culture and represented her want for gender equality with her gowns.
2 years later, in 1916, the first animated film in Japan was created. It started a new form of art that grew in Japan and worldwide. Simultaneously, Charles Chaplin was creating a 12th surreal comedy. He now is an inspiration for every current comedian actor. In 1917, Luigi Pirandello, the revolutionary theater director, presented the play Right You Are, If You Think So. This play defined the style of Pirandello. In 1920, China received the jazz style from Western influence. Jazz became very popular. It created a new style known as shaduki.
At the same time, in Argentina, more cultural advances were made. The first radio transmission with the objective of entertainment took place, and this led to many others, like the BBC in 1922. The BBC started broadcasting for radio. It later became one of the more respected news channels in the world. Even today, it broadcasts worldwide news. 1 year later, in 1923, the Charleston music became popular in the US. It broke the moral teaching of anterior generations and has signs and it made rebellious dances. In 1928, Walt Disney created Mickey Mouse.
The same year, the third animation of Mickey Mouse was debuted. The cartoon became so popular that even in this century, it amused young generations. In 1930, Rainbow Hair, American fashion designer, opened his own fashion house. He balanced simplicity and elegance so accurately that his fashion stores are still important. In 1935, Humphrey Bogart starred in the famous movie The Petrified Forest, which helped him become the symbol of black and white cinema. The same year, in England, Laurence Olivier became famous for his Shakespearean act. He was one of the first actors to interpret plays in a more personal and psychological way.
As you can see, entertainment suffered major changes at the beginning of 20th century.
Entertainment, especially movies and theater, intensely flourished during the second third of the 20th century. Fashion was also evolving, concentrating in the liberation of women's bodies, and music, like rock and roll and pop, was highly desired.
In 1937, in France, Jacques Fad, famous fashion designer, made his first collection, which boosted his fashion career. His style contributed to make the 50s a period of elegance. The same year, the premiere of Snow White was debuted in America. It was the first full-length animated movie. The movie became such a success that even today, kids watch it as fun. Movies were progressing because 2 years later, in 1939, the most famous adaptation of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz made its premiere in the United States. It was one of the first movies to have color. Furthermore, in Asia, entertainment was also being developed. In 1943, the Matamoto no Umiwashi premiere took place. The film transmitted the World War II military achievements to the kids.
In 1945, the Japanese theater was resumed after the war. There was a symbolic restarting of Japanese theater with the play The Cherry Orchard. 1 year later, the bikini was introduced by Louis Ruard. The shortage of material and money during the World War II was used as an excuse to redesign women's underwear. In 1949, Bai Wang, one of the 7 best-singing stars in China, got the main role in A Forgotten Woman, which was the first PRC film shown in Hong Kong. In 1950, Jacques Fat was recognized because of his unique skirt designs. He was considered one of the 3 dominant influences of post-war haute couture.
Simultaneously, the golden age of Bollywood, the Indian cinema industry was occurring. This golden age began at the end of the 40s and extended until the 60s. Pathan Panchali was the first internationally recognized movie of Bollywood. As well in Asia in 1950, the Japanese actress Hideko debuted in the film 24 Eyes, which made her become one of Japan's top stars. In 1953, the Radio Corporation of America invented a TV capable of projecting color. 1 year later, the premiere of The Seven Samurais, the Japanese movie, took place. This film is considered to be a masterpiece of cinema.
In 1955, the famous musician Elvis Presley began to be recognized by his unusual music style and sexy dance moves. He signed with the RCA Records in the same year. His first major hit was a year later. Elvis recorded I Got a Woman, Heartbreak Hotel, and I'm Counting on You. He became so famous that even today we consider him as the king of rock. In 1959, Betty Clemo, a recognized Chinese fashion designer, started working as an art director and costumer designer for Sean's studio. 3 years later, Clemo's brand was created. She's best remembered for introducing the Paris haute couture to Asia.
In 1960, the Eastern European actor to star in Hollywood, Becky Femi, starred female even met Happy Gypsies, which was nominated for an Oscar. In 1962, Love Me Do was the debut song for the Beatles. The use of a harmonica and the great difference to popular beat combo made the single a hit in the UK in the 60s and today. 1 year later in France, Théophanie, recognized French singer and actor, became an actor of the best-known film Judex, directed by George Franju. Simultaneously in England, the science fiction series Doctor Who was released. It talked about the adventures of a time traveler called the Doctor, who fights evil and aids the oppressed. Even now in the 21st century, people continue to watch it.
In 1967, I Even Met Happy Gypsies, a Yugoslav movie, was finally released. The movie opened the doors to Bekim Femiu, one of the actors, to become the first Eastern European actor to star in Hollywood during the Cold War. Simultaneously, in the United States, Ralph Lauren founded Polo. Their unique designs mixed the American style with the European and made this iconic brand gain its prestige. 2 years later, in 1969, Bobby Sherman, American singer and actor born in California in 1943, gained a lot of popularity with his first hit record, Little Woman. In 1970, Ralph Lauren was awarded the Coty Award for his men's designs. His brand is now one of the most important fashion stores of men in the world.
The second third of the 20th century focused mostly on the cinema industry, and many important movies like Snow White and The Wizard of Oz were created during this period.
The 20th century ended with the golden age of entertainment, especially movies and music hits.
1972, Diane von Furstenberg, brilliant American fashion designer, introduced the Grab dress launching. The clothes turned into an icon of fashion for its versatility. 3 years later, she was featured on the cover of the Newsweek magazine for becoming the president of the Council of Fashion Designers of America. In 1972, David Bowie, English singer, songwriter, and actor, gained success with his single Starman, which won him worldwide popularity. In 1973, the Taiwanese pop singer Theresa Feng attempted to crack the Japanese market by singing with the Polydor Japanese label.
In America, entertainment was also being enjoyed. In 1973, the movie Sting was debuted. The movie, directed by George Roy Hill, won 7 Oscars and granted Robert Redford his fame. Across the world in 1973, Rei Kawakubo, a Japanese fashion designer, established her own company, Comme des Garçons, in Tokyo. 1 year later, the German band Kraftwerk gained international recognition for their song Autobahn, which became the first hit played with electronic instruments. At the time of 1975, David Bowie was a known artist in the UK, but with his album Young Americans, which connected with the presence of John Lennon, he also gained popularity in America.
The same year, Steven Spielberg's movie Jaws was released in the cinema of the United States. It became one of the greatest movies in history and redefined the blockbuster parameters. 1 year later, in 1976, B.J. Thomas released Home Where I Belong, which was his first Christian album. He became the biggest contemporary Christian artist of the period. In 1978, Al Jarreau, American singer and musician, won his first Grammy Award for Best Jazz Vocal Performance for his album Look to the Rainbow. By the end of the 70s, Gina Lollobrigida, an Italian actress and photojournalist, managed to obtain an exclusive interview with Fidel Castro, leader of Communist Cuba.
The next year, Robert Redford, actor of The Sting, directed Ordinary People, which was one of the most criticized and acclaimed films of the decade. It won 4 Oscars. In 1981, Reika Wakubo presented her fashion lines and opened up a boutique in Paris. She became an international fashion designer. 1 year later, the song Thriller was released by Michael Jackson. It was the time where the music of black people was relegated. This song helped black people's music be more accepted. In 1884, Al Jarreau created the track Moonlightning, theme song for the homonym TV show. Moonlightning became one of the most remembered songs of his career.
From the years 1985 to 1990, theatrical reform were taking place in Russia. Once the communist dictatorship was over, the Russian theater was open to the world. In 1990, the famous cartoon The Simpsons got its own series and gained worldwide recognition. It was such a success that the series is still part of today's popular culture. Simultaneously, but in Asia, the revival of Japanese non-animated movies was taking place. Japan's cinema industry recovered its recognition during the decade of 90s for the movies like Hanabi, Unagi, and The Ring. At the same time, South Korean movies started to gain international recognition. The censorship in South Korea decreased, and consequently, this movie arrived to the Occident.
In 1995, 2 Danish directors created a movement called Down 95. It opposed Hollywood industry. The idea was to make more realistic movies with less budget and special effects. 3 years later, the movie Festen, which was the first one to follow Down 95 rules, was created. The movie was acclaimed by the public and provided confidence in the movement. The last year of 20th century, the Joint Security Area movie was debuted in South Korea. The movie criticized the government policies of both South and North Korea. It soon became the most viewed Korean film, giving Lee Byung-hun his fame. Lee Byung-hun's participation in the film made his big breakthrough and made the movie the highest grossing Korean film at the time.
During the 20th century, popular culture globalized more than ever before. At the beginning of the century, each continent and even each country had their own trends. However, throughout the period, new technologies helped the world to communicate and spread easier the culture of each nation. Nowadays, the world is more united in terms of popular culture than ever, and all this process gets its biggest impulse in the 20th century.